Hello everyone, it's Crystal Ether here, and I'm going to talk about the new, should have been real, idol sensation, the Golden Section. This musical quartet may not have merchandise you can buy to support them quite yet, but their gacha banner's right there and will stay up for another week. However, this technique-focused idol group needs a lot to stand out from the rest of their attribute roster, as the releases in the past 6 months has made the technique attribute quite strong compared to the others. Let's look at what they can do. As usual, if you really like the card, then go for it. This is a single player game, so you should enjoy your roster how you like. Is it any surprise that Helios' poster boy is part of this boy band sensation? Akira follows his winter version, providing team-wide buffs useful in any situation, but traits the HP requirement for initial cooldowns. You'll need to limit break this card to maximize his skill cast, as Akira lacks cooldown reduction frames in his library. In a vacuum, this card is a capable supporter that hits all the base offensive stats. However, without a critical damage or damage modifier buff, Idol Akira falls behind other buffers in Helios' current roster. There are simply too many cards in the game that provides a combination of the buffs this card has, or all three altogether. While this card only has one passive skill instead of the usual two, the only significant negative thing about this card are his link partners, as it will be difficult to slot Akira in a party combination of at least two of Gast, Dino, and Ash outside of this set. Otherwise, Idol Akira may not be the best at his job, but he's going to work well in any party you slot him in. Players planning to use this card will have some difficulty finding a main frame, as many of Akira's support frames focus on the burn debuff, which Idol Akira can't inflict on his own. Besides the tried and true hunting frame, the New Year Show event frame can work to supply allies with attack orbs and healing if you don't care for the cool member passive. For budget-friendly options, you can opt to use the current events frame for BP gauge support. Akira's Gentleman frame works in a pinch for a flat attack and defense buff to his allies, but unfortunately has a very long cooldown. Idol Dino has a surprisingly robust skill kit compared to the other Union Event 3-star heroes, with a skill set that could rival some recent 4-star releases if not for the initial cooldowns even at max limit break. His skill 2 has a valuable critical rate and critical damage buff combination, and Dino's first skill has some good utility for early to mid-game players. It's unfortunate that the initial cooldown limitations are in place due to his rarity, but Idol Dino has some pretty great frames in his roster that can help improve his support capabilities. It's hard to go wrong with Dino's Chapter 13 frame with its effect and low rarity, as 6 special attack orbs on demand is useful in any situation. I also want to give an honorable mention to his 4th birthday frame, as it lowers Dino's own cooldowns and lets players strengthen his buffs more quickly. For the cherry on top, the frame skill gives him 2 special attack orbs as well. New players who require more healing can consider equipping this Dino card with his Halloween event frame, recovering HP while also giving each member of the team 2 special attack orbs as well. Ash is the weakest card in this set, as his skill effects are average and have very low uptime. His attack buff could be useful for weaker teams who have burst skills prepared, but his debuff isn't strong and the initial cooldowns on both skills aren't justified for their low overall performance. If you do plan to use this Ash as more than just a skin, then keep in mind that this East Mentor unfortunately has few support-oriented frames in his frame lineup outside of the generic 3-star event frames with the chibi heroes on them. His Chapter 3 frame provides a decent BP generation buff for 3 turns for all allies and is arguably the only viable main frame Ash can equip without any overlap, regenerating up to 39% BP gauge per cast with a decent cooldown and max limit break. Gast, the idol pop sensation, will cheer you on with his buffs, increasing core attack stats just like Akira. The two are side grades to each other based on skill set alone, but this North rookie has the advantage of being free and accessible to max limit break. Similarly, Idol Gast is an excellent support card on paper or in a vacuum, but most of the buffs he provides exist on other supporters. The critical damage buff he carries is the standout of the skill set with a level 2 modifier, and this card is miles ahead of Gast's other technique cards. Overall, this card is a fine addition to any team, but there are other options if you need status damage modifiers or if you want to clear boss battles quickly. Gast is lucky to have a good amount of support-oriented frames, like his Waterfront frame that heals all allies while also giving him up to 6 special attack orbs across 5 turns, giving him a consistent window to provide his BP gauge link through his link partners. Another example with more targeted support is in his 3-star New Year's Show frame, providing one ally with 3 special attack orbs with a 5-turn cooldown and max limit break. Of course, the target can be Gast himself if you want to place him in a DPS role. The last suggestion I'd like to give for this card is his Chapter 7 frame. Despite the 30 burst gauge cost, the burst gauge regen buff it gives lasts for 5 turns and refunds 25% gauge at minimum, with up to 45% gauge refunded at max limit break. Its 6-turn cooldown is also generous for an early release frame, as there's only 1 turn of downtime when maxed out. The Golden Section Quartet are a good technique set that can work just fine in most of the content in Helios Rising Heroes, but won't really be effective in maximizing your score in survival events. I personally wouldn't spend rupees if I wasn't a fan of these heroes, as I already have strong technique teams, but if gameplay coverage isn't important to you, that's totally fine. Each card has great art and their song is catchy to listen to. That's all for this review. If you enjoyed the content, please consider subscribing to the channel. Otherwise, I'll see you all in the next video.